can all get home before 9 o'clock. How about that? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Tom Seeger.
Here.
Carolyn Parker. Bernie Willie.
Here.
Todd Richard.
Here.
Dave Doherty.
Here.
Barry Baggert. Patrick Fitzmaurice. Weldon Crawford. Kirk Drum. Ron Randolph. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Announcements, please silence all phones and electronic devices. If you disagree with anything this commission does as far as a case, you have the right to appeal it to the council. Speaker cards, they're over here on the rail to my right. Public speaking, 10 minutes each side and a 5-minute rebuttal. And if you want to stay in the room, that's fine until we get finished, or you can leave the building. Just please do not go out in the foyer out there because the sound echoes back into the building. Please rise for the invocation and pledge.
Gracious Father, once again, we come to you to say thank you for all the blessings bestowed in our lives. We thank you for the opportunity to experience this day. We thank you for your grace and mercy that you exhibited upon each and every one of us. We thank you for our families. Lord, we thank you for our parish. Thank you for our government. Lord, continue to bless our employees and our citizens that we represent. And Lord, as commissioners, we ask that you lead, guide us with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to make the right decisions. And all these blessings we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, in your packets on the commissioners, you had the October 9th minutes. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to review them. I need Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice to approve. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Please vote.
Motion to approve pass.
Okay. Staff, we have any cases to be postponed?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Public hearings, we've got several here and appears. Zoning cases, zoning change request cases, application for a proposed change of zoning district or amendments to the land use ordinance requiring review and recommendation of the approval by the zoning commission before action by the council are as follows. Okay, item 1 is ZC 96-11-064. It's a major amendment to a planned unit development overlay. It's 23.77 acres. The petitioner is Jones Fussell, LLP, Jeffrey Shane. The owner is Money Hill Plantation, LLC. The location, parcel located on the north side of Country Club Drive, west of Orchard Row. Parcel located on the southwest corner of Country Club Drive and Money Hill Parkway, north of LA 435, Abita Springs. Let's see, that's Ward 6, District 6. Staff?
The subject sites are currently designated as green space areas within the PUD. The petitioner is now requesting to develop the sites with multifamily residential housing, which will accommodate the maximum of 4 units per building. As such, the proposed density in Phase 8A is 20 acres or 3.14 units per acre, and the proposed density in Phase 8B is 60 units or 3.45 units per acre. Staff is not opposed to the request to add the multifamily residential units to the existing development, considering that the purpose of the planned unit development is to encourage flexibility in the development of the land and to provide a diversification in the relationship of residential uses. However, additional information shall be provided, such as the front yard setback from Country Club Drive, the access road in Money Hill Parkway, the rear and side setbacks, the maximum height, number of parking spaces, and the total remaining acreage of green space.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening to you and Commission. Seems like I've seen some of these faces recently, but for the general public, it doesn't mean any sidebar meetings, but there were 2 back-to-back Planning Commission meetings last night, and for those in attendance, we spent a little time together. Let's get started, because I know you have a full agenda. For the record, my name is Jeff Shane. I'm with the Jones Fussell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, and I have the pleasure of representing the owner, developer, and petitioner in this case, Money Hill Plantation, LLC. I have Miss Mimi Goodyear Dossett with me this evening, who is the developer and president of the family, Goodyear family, that company that runs this development. Also Sean Burks, who is our surveyor, engineer, and consultant as it relates to our property. We bring a new concept to Money Hill and ask you to consider this major amendment to the PUD. As you can see in the staff report and in the attachments, we have determined that there are 2 locations within the development where we want to build what we call golf cottage condominiums. These will be multifamily structures. There will be a maximum of 4 units per building. They will be geared not only, but certainly in anticipation that a lot of people will want to use them for weekends, second homes, things of that nature, holiday special travel. But certainly we anticipate that some may take ownership, and it will be a different form of housing where they will be able to downsize, if you will, yet enjoy the amenities of the club. We agree with staff's comment that this is a complementary component of the development in that it provides more diversification to this PUD. If you're not personally familiar with Money Hill, it's over 1,000 acres. It's a beautiful piece of property. It's got many valuable environmental and aesthetic components, in addition to just being a terrific residential golf, tennis, and recreation development. In particular, staff requested that we address certain questions that they have. We have done that, reduced it to the plat. I'm sorry to say we did not get it to staff in advance, but we will be turning it in shortly. But the questions are short, and I'd like to give you the answers because I know you'd like to know what we have in mind as it relates to setbacks, which will be 25 feet along Country Club Drive, Money Hill Parkway, and the access road. That's the front setback. 10-foot side setbacks and a rear setback of 25 feet. Our maximum height will be 40 feet for each structure. Each unit will have 2 parking spaces per unit, but as a practical matter, there will be an allocation of 3 parking spaces per unit to accommodate for guests that might be coming to the home. Also, last but not least, as it relates to the questions, this is very unusual, but I'm happy to say that after this development, Money Hill will still have 531.28 acres of green space, which is nearly 50% of the development. So I hope that you agree that this is an appropriate amendment to our PUD, one that is an exciting new day, if you will, for Money Hill. We ask that you approve this major amendment, and certainly if any of you have any questions that you'd like me to respond to, I will be glad to do so at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this, either for or against? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve and also consider the acceptance of those items that Mr. Shane reviewed to us as far as the setbacks and the parking spaces, as well as the acreage that's remaining on the property. So I
Okay.
approve.
Motion by
Motion to
Commissioner
approve.
Randolph to approve, Commissioner Baggett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Baggett. Commissioner Drum.
Jeff, you know, you really should move closer, because as many times as you keep getting called back up.
My wife says I need the exercise.
Just move, oh, okay. Anyway, does this request have to go before the homeowners association?
Kind of yes and no, but it's been approved. It's been, the homeowners association is aware of it. The developer has control of the development and has the prerogative to make this change. But certainly, Ms. Tossett has advised the homeowners of this component, so they're very aware of it.
Okay, so it's not gonna be like a surprise pulled on anybody, huh?
No, and again, of course, your department and parish law does a good job of making sure that there's notification, formal notification of this case this evening. But no, certainly as good neighbors, we advised all of what the plan was so that everybody would be in on it and wouldn't learn about it from other places.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm familiar with the project, the property. I own a lot out there as well as a member of the club. I think this is an absolute fantastic idea. It's going to bring some diversity to the community, and I just want to let everybody know that I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to approve has passed.
Thank you. Item 2, 2019-1602-ZC. Existing zoning is A4, family residential, single-family residential district. Proposed zoning is A4, single-family residential district and manufactured housing overlay. It's .17 acres. The petitioner is Dwayne Barnes. Owner is Dwayne Barnes. Location is parcels located on the west side of Coronation Street, east of Dahlia Street, north of Success Street, and south of Progress Street, Abita Springs. Ward 10, District 6. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan designates the sites to be developed with residential units, including manufactured homes. Staff doesn't have any objection to the request.
Thank you. Is someone here to speak for the Barnes? Are they here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Please come up to the mic, state your name and address, and since we don't have a speaker card after you speak, please fill out a speaker card in case we need to get in touch with you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Dwayne Barnes. My address is on 72549 Carnation Street. That's the address of the property. I want to put a manufactured home on it. I have been through a lot with that property, and I'm just asking y'all to grant me, permission to get it rezoned, because I do need a place to stay.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this case? Give one of the speaker cards. No, he does not. That's right. We've got your name and address and everything on the application. You don't need to fill it out. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Jeanette Taylor. My current address is 70241 8th Street in Covington, 70433. My family has property in the local area where Dwayne is actually my family too. I would love for y'all to grant that to him, because the subdivision is a mixture of mobile homes and manufactured homes and houses. And it would be fair to allow him to live there. and put a manufactured home on it. So,
All right,
thank you.
thanks. Thank you. You do need to get a speaker card. We got it now. All right. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? I'm going to close to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
You took yourself out the queue. I move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice for approval. Commissioner Baggert.
Second. You press the button.
Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to approve passed.
Thank you. Next item is item 3, 2019-1621-ZC. Existing zonings A1 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A1 Suburban District and add manufactured housing overlay. It's 2.397 acres. Petitioners Michael and Yvette McMillan. The owners, Michael and Yvette McMillan. The location is parcels located at the end of Jim Lloyd Road, south of Louisiana Highway 40, Folsom, Ward 2, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan designate the area to be developed with agricultural and residential uses with a wide range of dwelling in size or type. At this time, staff would like to recommend approval or has no objection to the request.
Thank you. McMillan's here? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium. State your name and address.
Name is Michael McMillan, 81004 Jim Lloyd Road. That's Folsom, Louisiana, 70437, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're asking, we actually at this time have a mobile home on the property. That is our primary residence. We're asked, it's not with a mobile home overlay. The mobile home has been there for over 20 years. So we want to get in compliance so that if at some point in time we decide we want to sell this mobile home, our grandkids want to take over the property and put a mobile home on the property, they'll have that option without having to go through with the petitioning for the overlay.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this item? For or against? Yes. Please state your name and address.
Yes, sir. My name is Edward Wishan. I live at 81046 Jim Lloyd Road in Folsom, 70437. I'm just trying to find out if it's just for a single-family dwelling, or is it going to be multiple facilities? And I'd just like to know that. If it's a single family, I don't have a problem with that. But if it's multiple facilities, I'd prefer it didn't have.
Like a trailer park?
Yes, sir.
No, it won't be a trailer park.
That's what,
It'll have
that's
to-
my, other than that, I have no
He would have
concerns.
to come back, the property owner would have to come back before us to develop a modular home or trailer park.
Okay.
Okay?
I have no problems with it then.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on this? We'll close it to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
Yes, just to satisfy the guy that just spoke, it is zoned A1. That's one residential unit per 5 acres, so he's safe about the trailer park. Yes, it's very compatible to the area, and I move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to approve is passed.
Thank you. Next item is 2019-1622-ZC. Existing zoning's A3 Suburban District, proposed zoning's A3 Suburban District, and adding manufactured housing overlay. It's 33 acres. Petitioner is Bobby and Kim Jameson. Owner is Bobby and Kim Jameson, parcel located on the south side of Short Street, east of Jefferson Street, being 19504 Short Street, Covington, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan designates the area to be developed with residential units, including manufactured homes. Staff doesn't have any objections to the request.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Bob Jameson, 19504 Short Street in Covington, and that's .33 acres, not 33 acres.
0.33 acres?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You may have received a letter that we emailed you,
Right.
but we're also going to pass it around. I don't know if there's anyone in the audience, but
All right. Now, the gentleman's saying it's 0.33 acres and not 33 acres.
yeah, it is .33, right? Yeah, it is .33.
Yeah, the agenda says it's 33 acres, but the staff report says it's 0.33 acres.
Yes, but it's advertised correctly.
Okay, all right. That's the main thing. All right, well, we've got that part corrected anyway. You have any further comment?
No, we just want to be able to have the ability to put a mobile home or on the land we bought.
Okay, all right. We did receive a letter opposing this, but Marcia Miller. Yes, ma'am. If you wish to speak, now's the time. You need to come up to the podium and.
My name is Marcy Miller. I'm catching my breath. I'm just coming in from the parking lot. I own a little over 60 acres that I think you all have maps in front of you. I had enclosed the maps of where the property was in proximity to the location we're discussing. And I am hoping that soon, I've spoken to people a couple of years ago and recently about trying to develop that property. And I know even when I do, I would not be able to have the ability to use Sunshine. That street is a smaller street, and it's already got enough traffic coming down that street. If any development would take place, it would be on the 3rd Street side of the property. And I'm just worried about a mobile home close to trying to do something very nice and upgrading the area and something truly to make the area nice. I just think that it may, be of a detriment to this acreage. And I really do want to do something, nice with the property.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against on this item?
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Yes, come to the podium and state your name and address, please.
Kim Jameson, 19504 Short Street, Covington. Kim Jameson. So my question is this property that I understand you own the property, but is this property that she's wanting developed? Does she live in the neighborhood, or is this just a monetary thing that she's looking at? We're looking to put roots here. We already live in the neighborhood. We live across the street from the lot that we own right now. We know our neighbors. There are other mobile homes in the area. This is just a nice working class neighborhood. So I can appreciate that she wants to put this in and around, but the neighborhood that is already established there is not upper class. It's just nice, normal, working class people, and we just want to stay in our neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. You have any comment beyond what you've spoke on, Ms. Miller?
I realize everything that she said, and I realize that there are a few mobile homes in the area. but I'm just very cautious to the effect that every time this is asked for, and when this, with this zoning change, that more would come into place in that area. And I guess I have some pretty deep roots there too, also having that much property. And that has been in my family for a long time as well. So I just, that's one of the reasons why. I mean, it's a lot of property there that I want to maintain and upgrade.
Okay, thank you. All right, we've had the folks speak on both sides now, and really, we've had the rebuttal too. So I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
Yes, so the petition is looking to establish a mobile home in an established community with mobile homes. I agree with staff and move for approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Willie to approve. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Seeger.
I visited the site on my way here this afternoon. There are a lot of different styles of homes there. There are some mobile homes. There are some homes in very bad disrepair, and there are some very nice homes. Agreeing with the fellow council members that have spoke, I also moved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Drum.
Mrs. Miller, may I see you up in front, please? What type of development are you planning on putting on your acreage?
Single family.
Brick built,
Excuse me?
bricks?
Yes.
Solid on the ground?
Yes,
Okay.
not any pre-manufactured, anything like that.
Okay.
I know there was some type of, it's been a while ago, but I think, I can't say exactly where it was at the moment, but there was a subdivision that was trying to get developed that they were trying to do some manufactured type, pre-manufactured homes, and I know it didn't go over well at all. I just think that, you know, the parish is trying to improve a lot of things, and I as well.
Yes, ma'am. Being the brazen type of person I am, would you explain to me how one mobile home is going to destroy your property?
Of course. I don't know that it will destroy my property, but I know it's not going to enhance it. And I guess I'm of the thought that, you know, as the lady said there, and one of the gentlemen said as well, there's already several mobile homes there. There are some homes there that are in disrepair. And I guess I would just like to not continue that type of development anymore and try to upgrade it. So I'm not saying in any way that this one is going to destroy it, but I'm saying it's not going to help it. So it's just hard for me to sit there, because I feel like once one piece does develop with a mobile home, someone else can come and do the same thing, can't they?
Well, yes, ma'am, as right now, because if that's the type of housing that's already there, and then we're being asked to change all that just because you want the property to suit you, I don't think that's right.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, and I'm not trying to be, I'm being a little brazen back, okay? What if I took my property and I made a really nice mobile home park on that?
Well,
Would that be approved?
It depends on how many, if you put one mobile home on each lot, yeah, that's fine. If you
Because
wanna
I could
put-
make a lot more money doing something like that than I could putting up some nice homes that, and I'm not talking about real expensive homes that it cuts down the amount of people that can purchase. I'm just talking about a nice product. So, I mean, it would be much easier for me to go that way, you know? And maybe that's a thought. But like I said, and I've just repeated myself, I don't think it's going to destroy, but I think it may continue. And I think that that area needs something to make it, to try to improve it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to improve an area.
No, ma'am, if you bring in some nice houses, and all this might give an incentive for other people to move in there with nicer houses. I mean, mobile homes, there's nothing wrong with those.
I didn't say there was anything wrong either.
Okay.
I just said that that it might set the pattern more and more and more. And then if that does set the pattern, what happens to 60-something acres? Put
Well-
yourself in my position.
Well, I am, but the pattern's already been set. You want to change
How
it.
can you say the pattern's already been set? Because there's a few mobile homes there?
And yours has this
So
property.
you're telling me, once that happens, that can continue to happen?
If they come and request it, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Mr. Crawford?
Mr. Jameson, is it Jameson, Mr. Jameson? You said that, was it a mobile home that you plan to pull in, or is it
Yeah, a brand-new mobile home that's set on the concrete pad and bricked around the bottom and look just like a regular house, only it comes in on wheels.
So it's more like a manufactured house, is what they call it?
Yeah, they call it a mobile home, but they make them, mobile homes, and they make them, what's that word? It's not a modular home, but, I mean, the modular home and the mobile home are identical. It's just some little rule that makes them different.
Okay, so your plan is to put it on a concrete foundation?
You know,
and skirt it
concrete
around?
foundation, brick around the bottom of it, you know, carport, flowers in front of it, make a house out of it.
Okay, okay, very good. And I visited the area today, and just like Commissioner Seeger said, I agree, there's multiple types of housing around there, and what you're describing would fit with the neighborhood, I believe.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Seeger?
Ms. Miller? May I ask you a question, please? I think you're supposed to go up there.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any plans at this time for development of this property?
I have some rough plans. I don't have them with me, but I do have some.
What would the time frame on that be, ma'am?
Oh, gosh. I guess within the next 2 years.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
We had somebody request to speak. The floor's been closed. You want to at least acknowledge.
Okay.
At least acknowledge what they're.
Yeah, we've got a gentleman that turned in a speaker card just now, and we've already closed the floor to the public. Stan Stelly at 71562 Jefferson Avenue, and he is marked that he's against the change to, or adding a manufactured housing overlay. Thank you, sir. But we've already closed the floor to the public on that. All right. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Richard? Approve. The motion to approve passed.
Okay. Thank you. Next item is 2019-1637 ZC. Existing zoning is A1 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A3 Suburban District. It's .794 acres. Petitioners Richard and Julie Elliott. The owner is Marvy Hicks Domino, parcel located on the west side of Bigner Road, south of Louisiana Highway 22, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 4. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the site to be developed with residential dwelling units. Staff is not in favor of the request, as a large portion of the west side of Bigner Road is zoned A1 suburban, within the designation of A3 would allow for an increase in density in the area.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please state your name and address.
Richard Elliott, 218 Scotch Pine Drive, Mandeville, Louisiana, 70471.
Okay. And the lady?
Julie Elliott,
Okay,
same address.
all right. And what do you want to tell us?
So this property, it's an unusual piece of property. It's 45 feet wide at the front, 75 feet wide at the back, and 570-some feet long. It's a few months back, we were here because we had property to the immediate south, just under 3 acres, that we bought before Katrina. That was zoned A4 when we bought it, but it was rezoned to A1. We came before you and had that, were successful in changing that back to A3, which would accommodate our plans, which was to have some, approximately three lots at that time. We were since, I'm here representing essentially the other owner, which we've made an agreement to purchase this land. They approached us recently because this land is landlocked, and they had sued us to gain access to this property. Because it's a substandard lot of record, I'm told that it is able to be developed, and this has a heavily wooded area that I'd like to stay as a woods, which is adjacent to us, and to be able to incorporate it into our plans, it needs to be zoned A3, and that's the only way that we can really purchase the property, is to have it to be able to be incorporated into our plans. I've got this kind of illustrates.
So we have a site plan that shows how the land, and we're just waiting to get this rezoned so that then we can come and go to the planning and zoning for this subdivision of our lot. So we've already had it surveyed and everything. And, I mean, we can pass it up there, but it's a site plan that shows how the land would be developed. We want to keep the land wooded because there is a house just adjacent to it, on both sides. We want it all wooded, and then our lots would be all consecutive. And
So,
you can see it.
yeah, this is ready to be submitted. Once this is approved, I've gotten it surveyed. The hatched area is what's in question, which we've reached an agreement to purchase. You can see that our drive is planned to come in at, essentially there's a drive here, and then our planned drive is right here, which another driveway would congest that area. It's also, Katrina took out a lot of trees where we were located, and we wanted that buffer to remain. The first half of the lot is low in nature and floods. That's why essentially we had to go with an A3 zone to try to get the lots on the higher ground. And each lot is 120 by about 235 feet long, so it's a substantially good size. And the smallest is, they're right at 0.66 acres.
Okay. All right. Let's see if there's anyone else that wishes to speak on this in the audience. Anyone in the audience wish to? Yes, ma'am. Come up and state your name and address, please. You're.
Good evening.
Good
I'm
evening.
Vicki Smith. I live at 136 Bigner Road.
Are you for or against?
Oh, I'm for it. I just wanted to find out how they're going to enter the property because I live on that strip that they just purchased. So that's all I wanted to find out, if it was going to be right next to it, because it is flooded in that area.
Okay, well, he's got a map there that shows how to access the property and everything, so. And I believe I heard him say they intend to keep it as basically green space, a wooded area.
Right, and I appreciate that part. I just was wondering about the flooded area and how they're going to enter through there.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
thank you.
Fill out a
You
speaker
need to
card.
fill out a speaker card, please, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay, would you like to come back to the mic and maybe address her?
So the driveway that we're proposing is located in the area that does not typically flood. All along Bigner, there's an area that is actually the property across the street, comes across the front of our property. We've made arrangements also to purchase the location that I want to put our driveway, which is where it doesn't flood, basically.
Okay, all right. Ma'am, you have any further comments?
No, thank you.
All right. I will close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Crawford.
Yes. Excuse me, Mr. Elliott, can you bring your plan? I'm confused, so I'm gonna try and get unconfused here. No, he can hold it up. I can see it from here. Okay, so I was out there today, and it looks like there's a gravel road next to your property?
That's right.
Right there? Is your property on that road?
Our property comes to that road,
Okay.
just in this little.
So you own the property, looking at that, to the left of the
We
proposed
go like
piece?
this and up the side, yes.
Okay. And how much total acreage is everything that you own, including that piece?
Including that, it'll be just at 4 acres.
4 acres, okay. Now, you haven't purchased this yet? Someone else owns it, but you're planning to purchase it?
It's actually, there was a problem with, the notary also signed as the witness.
It's
and
in the works?
It's in the works.
Okay. So the plan is to enter from the property that you own, from the street, and you're gonna have 3 lots in the back? Is that what the
It would
plan
come
is?
up like this.
Uh-huh.
The first lot is almost, it's 1.89 acres.
And it would have a house on it?
And it would put it, that
Okay.
was gonna plan to be our house, and then we were gonna have 3 other lots behind that.
I see.
As it works towards Pinch Chapel.
Okay.
And each one of those is approximately 0.6 acres, 0.66 acres.
Okay.
And
Which
we
is
have
why
3
you need
kids.
the A3 zoning to fit that many in?
Well, no, it's really to be able to incorporate this land as part of this proposed layout.
Okay.
Because that, we're currently zoned A3.
Yeah, next door, okay. I see. Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I typically do not like changing this density, but in this particular case, it makes perfect sense based on this lot of record, or this plot that really is almost unusable. There's A3 immediately to your north and west. So I think this makes perfect sense, and I move for approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Richard to approve. Do I hear a second? Commissioner Baggert.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Baggert. Commissioner Randolph.
Mr. Elliott. Come to the podium, please. The strip of property, do you have your map?
Yes.
First of all, your development, your plan actually is predicated on that strip of property being included, even though it's in legal action right now.
Well, I had a plan before that had 3 lots because I was A3. But
that piece?
No, it was this area here.
Okay.
But since we're being, we have a lawsuit with these people, they actually sued us to gain access. This lot could still be developed because it's a lot of record, even though it's very narrow, which would put a house, the only place you can put a house is way back here, where it widens to almost 75 feet wide.
And then you'd have a drive
And
that
we'd
went,
have
we'd
3.
have 3 drives coming in, all the way. It would
And-
just,
and they would have
would
to clear cut.
depreciate what we want to do.
So,
So we decided to buy it.
so we're.
Okay.
which
And we were planning on having that purchase already occur, but there was just one thing wrong with the paperwork, and so they had to send it back to the folks in Chicago, and that's why it just
Okay.
has been taking longer.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Renee. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Please vote.
motion to approve passed.
Thank you. All right, item 6, 2019-1645-ZC, existing zonings, A1 Suburban District, proposed zoning is A5 Two-Family Residential District. It's 2.32 acres. The petitioner's Charlene Conk. It's probably not right the way I pronounced it. Petitioner, no, that's the petitioner. The owners, Edward and Charlene Conk. Parcel located on the south side of Louisiana 1078, south of Oak Ridge Drive, east of Robinson Road, being 12550, 12554, 12552, and 12546. Highway 1078, Folsom, Ward 3, District 3. Staff?
Staff is not completely opposed to the requested zoning change to A5, considering that it would allow for the existing legal nonconforming use duplexes to be brought into compliance with the appropriate zoning designation. However, staff does have concerns that the size of the site, being 2.32 acres, would allow for additional dwelling units to be placed on the property, as the maximum density in the A5 two-family dwelling is 8 units per acre. Should the commission be in favor of the request, staff suggests that the total acreage of the request be reduced to only include the existing duplexes and parking area.
Thank you. Are the petitioners here? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state your name and address. All right, the folks that own it, Edward and Charlene, I don't know how to pronounce it. Conk? Okay. Are they here? Seeing no one here to represent them, I'd suggest that this be postponed till next month.
Can we?
Okay. Pardon? Okay. Please come forward. I understand you're opposed to it?
That's correct.
Okay, state your name and address, please.
It's Frank Richeron, and the address is 78219 Oak Ridge Road, Folsom, Louisiana.
Okay.
So I'll start with the fact that we have a petition signed by over 30 people in the neighborhood, the surrounding area, close enough, that are wholly opposed to this. Oh, sorry. I'm going to hold on to it. And they're here tonight with us. So we took the time this evening to come and oppose this, even though the owners of the property are not here. This group, it's a large group of people that live in the area, and we've gotten together and had this discussion. And to try to take us back a little bit, even though we are wholly opposed as a group, this all started 16 years ago, where somehow this particular property was approved for duplexes, and it was zoned suburban ag, where in our opinion, shouldn't have been allowed to happen. We were so opposed even at that time that although we couldn't stop the building of those 2 sets of duplexes, we bought out the property owner, Vaughn Knight. He was a builder, and it was our opinion that he circumvented the subdivision requirements to build what he did. He had a 6-acre tract. He built 2 sets of duplexes, and through conversation, he told me that he was not building duplexes, he was building garden homes, so it kind of slipped through the cracks. You might recall, maybe some of you gentlemen and ladies were on the board then, but we had a moratorium of building permits at that time that was created because of this particular activity that went on. So again, to kind of go through our opposition to prevent him from going further, we as a group got together and we bought the remaining property to stop that action from him building, in his plan to build 4 more or 6 more duplexes. So if you look at the area and the neighborhood, it is exactly what it was set out to be, suburban ag, 5-acre tracts or larger, homes that are not duplexes, single-family dwellings. We also, at that same time, had Martha Casabon, who is on the Planning and Zoning Committee, as a signature on that petition 16 years ago to stop that activity, and it didn't happen. So we come before you, we have a group of at least 30 people here tonight that are opposed, and we ask that you prevent this from going forward. We understand that these duplexes are grandfathered in and they're there. They are a nuisance. It's like a swinging door of people moving in and out continuously. And we have children all in the neighborhood, and this tends to bleed over into the surrounding area. So we ask that we continue to be allowed to live in an area that we expected to be. I moved here 40 years ago, and I expected it to stay as the suburban ag, rural development that we bought into. So we ask that you continue to allow us to be that way. The duplexes, of course, will stay, but we don't want any opportunity for them to change it or for future change from other people that might buy along that highway. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against? Come forward and state your name and address. If you haven't filled out a speaker card, please do so. She needs one.
Card.
You can speak.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jeannie Ann Mayhall. My address is 78294 Oak Ridge Road, Folsom, Louisiana, 70437. Everything that Frank, my neighbor, just said is absolutely true. He and I and many people back there sort of led this same, we're here again. We were here 13 years ago and we're here now. And so I have a question, and I guess it's a technical one. These duplexes, I mean, you know, we have cows and chickens around, and I'm wondering how those duplexes ever got built in the first place. And I know that's water under the bridge, but I totally appreciate the fact that you guys are saying you're going to limit it going forward, but I don't want a precedent to be set that someone else could come along, sneak some duplexes in, and then come back 5, 10, 13 years later, and then the whole flavor of the neighborhood changes. So I'm curious as to how that could have happened in the first place.
Well, being suburban agriculture, and Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, there was not a lot of restrictions on the type of housing that could have been done 16 years ago. I believe I'm right on that. I could be wrong, but suburban ag was pretty generous. Bernie, you may.
You write what you say.
Okay. So, you know, they were built based on that, and unfortunately, things have changed.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And that's the reason they're having to come before this board now to try and change the zoning to build additional. And you've got a good group of people here that have opposed it. The owner hasn't shown up, so, you know, we'll take all that into consideration as well. Do you have any other questions?
No, that's greatly appreciated. I do remember at the time that when we came forward 16 years ago, there was a moratorium, and I guess that was when we discovered that there was a lot of flexibility in that. So I would ask that you guys really give some consideration to this and keep the zoning as it is, or at least give us a chance to not make it get any worse than it is.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There was another gentleman to come forward and state your name and address.
My name is Dean Boss. I live at 78109 Oak Ridge Road in Folsom. I've actually lived there since before there was an Oak Ridge Road. This has always been a rural area. recently we've had some development at the front of Bennett Bridge Road, which we didn't agree with. This was snuck in with us. Like they said, we didn't agree. I'm one that believes that people should, for the most part, be able to do what they want to do with their property. But I live in Folsom because I don't want to live in Mandeville. And that's not to insult anybody that lives in Mandeville, but I like a space. And all I'm asking is that you consider that Folsom is one of the true beautiful areas left in the parish. And it's because we have space, we have green, we can breathe. And being a resident there for 42 straight years, I know changes are coming, but duplexes, apartments, what next? I mean, to me, it seems there's plenty of room on the lower part of the parish yet for things like that, rather than spoiling a truly beautiful area. That's just the reason I'm out there.
Okay,
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, ma'am. State your name and address, please.
My name is Chloe Lynn Richeron, 78219 Oak Ridge Road, Folsom, Louisiana, 70437. All of us that came tonight, I'm not sure why the people that own the property didn't show up because the sign's been up there forever. And we all went through a lot of trouble to get here tonight. And the reason that we are living where we are is because we wanted to live in the rurals. So that's mainly what I want to say, is this whole group, the reason we're there is because there is more space. It's the rurals, you know, so we really would love to keep it like that. So we just ask that you consider keeping it like that, not putting in duplexes. Keep it 5 acres, one single family dwelling.
Okay.
So we would appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak? Got 55 seconds. Please state your name and address.
David Cooper, 12499 Sunglow Road, Folsom, Louisiana. My question, is it a standard practice to postpone a vote because the person doesn't show up like this?
We're not going to postpone the vote now because I was not aware of, you know, we had 30 people here and they will have an opportunity to appeal this to the council. Okay? So watch for the council agenda. If they appeal it, if they don't appeal it, then it'll be turned down. Okay?
Okay.
If that's what the commission votes, okay?
All right.
Does that answer your question?
That did. Thank
Okay. Anyone else? I'm gonna close it to the public, bring back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
Yes. These duplexes, I assume, were built when the parish had a different zoning classification and they were allowed. I'm pretty sure about that. But since the zoning classifications have changed and these duplexes are not allowed in A1 zoning. So all you gotta do is look at the map and all you see is A1 zoning, including those duplexes, which are now a legal non-conforming use. And if to try to change the zoning, you actually be just spot zoning, which I don't agree with at all. I move for a denial of this request.
Commissioner Willie moved for denial. Commissioner Baggert.
Second.
Commissioner Baggert, second. Commissioner Crawford.
Can we see how many people are here in opposition? Show hands or stand up, either one. Okay, thank you very much.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second to deny. Please vote.
The motion to deny has passed.
Thank you. Thank y'all for coming. All right, next item is 2019-1646-ZC. Existing zoning is A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A3 Suburban District. It's 2.06 acres. Petitioner is William Lapp III. Owner is CGE Family LLC, Gregory Eckert. Parcel located on the northeastern corner of Camellia Drive and Tulip Drive, being 127 Tulip Drive, Covington, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan designates the site to be developed with residential dwelling units that vary in site design and density. Staff is not in favor of the request, considering that the property is surrounded by lots that, for the most part, conform to the A2 Suburban District zoning designation. The requested A3 zoning designation will allow for potential increase in the density of this area.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Good evening to the commission. My name is Trey Lape. I am an attorney. My office address is 1966 North Highway 190, Suite B in Covington. I'm here this evening representing Mr. Eckert, the applicant for this zoning change. I have some handouts. I have 3 of them. If it's appropriate, I'd like to approach Commissioner Randolph and ask him to take one and pass it. Well, staff. There are 3 documents here, and I'll begin with an enlarged version of the first that you're going to receive. This is an aerial printout from the assessor's website, which I thought was helpful because it shows you approximately the location of my client's property, which is this one right here. And it's fronting the river. It's in Flowers Estates. And you'll notice that my client's property fronts completely on 2 sides, 2 public roads, the first being Tulip Drive and the second being Camellia Drive. And there's only one other property in Flowers Estates that has a similar feature, and that's this one here that is owned by Mr. Grieshaber, I believe is Dr. Grieshaber, the dermatologist. And you'll notice that, so this is the first one that you're going to get. The second one is this handout here, which shows you in color-coded. I had my abstractor research the land records of all of the prior re-subdivisions in Flowers Estates, of which there were many. And on this document here, you'll notice there are 2 circles. The one at the bottom of that is my client's property, and the one at the top is the one I mentioned, which is Dr. Grieshaber. The third handout that you're going to get is the re-subdivision map of Dr. Grieshaber's property. And similar to my client's property, this is the only other lot here that has completely 2 sides with 2 public roads on it. And I'd like to point out that this other re-subdivision, of which there were several in Flowers Estates, reconfigured property into lots in this direction. Now, my client does not live at this house. My client lives in Madisonville, and my client informs me that the next door neighbor who lives here is interested in acquiring a lot if he's able to re-subdivide it. The property is, as mentioned, was 2.06 acres. I believe it would be permitted for him to re-subdivide it into larger than an acre lot. However, the existing house has a detached garage carport that would fall on the property line that would make it impossible or impractical to put the dividing line directly in the middle. And so he's asking to re-subdivide this exclusively for 2 lots, 2 single-family lots. You'll notice in the documents that were presented to you that the location was approximate. We estimate that the lot that we're asking to create would be around 2/3 of an acre, with the balance remaining there. And the reason why it's approximate is because if you approve this request, we understand that we'll have to come back and not only do a minor re-subdivision, but also have to work with the association, the Flowers Estate Civic Association. And my client is generally willing to do whatever he's able to do to accommodate those concerns. And so, you know, it's interesting that you could talk about precedent, which is a double-edged sword, but what I would say candidly is precedent is nearly meaningless because your commission looks at this as a case-by-case basis of does this make sense. And so the only other example of a precedent excuse me, that you have is Dr. Grieshaber's property, which was divided in not an exact manner, but in a similar fashion. And without a doubt, that is no binding effect on the commission at all. But I wanted to point it out to say the only other instance that we have is this property here on the river, on the same street, which shares two sides fronting two public roads, as does my client's here. You know, anticipating a question, somebody had asked, well, look, if the next door neighbor wants to acquire this property, I understand it's for an adult child that wants to live there, why don't they simply assimilate this portion into the adjacent lot? And as I understand, the concern is if we close our eyes, no matter how good our relationships are with our in-laws and our parents, is that we often don't want to have our property tied in to that close. You know, so that's my request for this evening, and I'd like to field questions, and if there's not, then I don't. Let me say this as well. Prior to ever filing this application, I suggested that my client canvass the neighborhood and talk to the neighbors. My client has not relayed anything to me other than positive feedback, which admittedly is from the adjacent property owner who's expressed an interest in buying the desired proposed new lot. I have only heard from one member, which was today, of the Flowers Estate Civic Association, and the feedback was not disfavorable. And so, you know, I asked if there were any members here when I got here today. I have not had the opportunity to talk to any, so I'd like to leave the balance of any time for questions that you have and addressing any feedback that may be from the audience.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against? Seeing none, I will close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Crawford.
Let's see, mic's on, okay. I have a question. I'm confused again. That seems to happen frequently. So the piece of property, do you have this picture that I have here in our packet?
I have the whole application, yes, sir.
Okay.
But I believe it's this without the assessor's lines on
Okay.
it.
So am I right to understand that the intent is, you show this whole big, long piece of property that goes all the way to the back, has this large, very large house on it?
It's this right here.
Yeah. Is the intent to get two lots out of the front part here? Is that what the intent is?
The intent is to put a line between here and here and have a new lot here.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Have one new lot?
One new lot.
On the front?
Make two
Okay.
lots out of one.
Okay, and so the existing large house would be on the second lot on the back?
It will not change. There's no anticipation of changing the existing structure that is there.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah. Okay, and what's the acreage of the front lot? You said 0.6 roughly?
I'm approximating, Commissioner Crawford, it's 0.66.
Okay.
And that's based upon really being dictated by, I don't know if you can see it in the trees, but the location of that detached garage structure.
Okay, okay. And you were saying that somebody, an adjacent landowner might want to purchase this property, you were saying?
Yeah, my client informs me that this property owner here, who I hate to butcher their name, I want to say it was Byram, and I'm not informed of any purchase agreement. I'm simply informed of verbal negotiations. So I'm going to be candid and transparent with you about that. But they've expressed an interest in buying this, and that's my client's desire, is to sell it to them.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, Commissioner Baggett.
I'll move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Baggett to approve. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I think you make a good case, and I'm also going to move for approval, given that the other lot that's similar in fashion would be appreciable to this one. So I'll second.
Yeah, second.
Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to take a different position. I'm very cognizant of this particular development subdivision over the years, and this was intended to be a single lot, and I don't see any compelling reason other than the owner wanting to, I guess, profit from splitting his property up inside of a subdivision. So I respect everybody else's position. I'm just not going to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to bring up a point here. Although staff does not change its recommendation, maybe you would like to look into leaving the parcel or the portion of the property that is where the house is as A2, because it will be 1 acre or more, and just, rezone the front, if that's what the commission would like to do. In the event that the entire 2 acres is rezoned to A3, then there's a possibility for further re-subdivision to take place, and that's something to consider as well.
May I make a comment at this juncture? Is that permitted?
Yeah.
Okay. Number one, I would prefer not to do that, but rather
Okay.
that the motion add a stipulation that it never be re-subdivided again were you to approve it. And the reason would be to allow us the flexibility to make the front lot that we're asking to be created as large as possible. And the line on that survey was intentionally drawn as an approximate location so that we would have the ability to do that.
Okay.
And then the other thing I would mention is that if you look at the second handout that you were received, there are numerous other lots in Flowers Estates that are comparably sized as the proposed new lot, down Hyacinth in particular, and Begonia. So, and I appreciate the different perspectives, and I appreciate your consideration.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Randolph? The motion was for approval? The motion for approval does not
Failed.
pass. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
consideration.
All right, next item is 2019-1648-ZC. Existing zoning's A1 Suburban District, RO Rural Overlay, and MHO Manufactured Housing Overlay. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District, RO Rural Overlay, and Manufactured Housing Overlay. It's 6.05 acres. The petitioner's Melton Bayham, the owner's Melton Bayham, parcel located on the east and west side of St. John Church Road, south of McCoy Road, Folsom, Ward 2, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan designates the site to be developed with single-family residential dwellings and agricultural uses. Staff is not in favor of the request, as the petition site is surrounded by properties that conform to the A1 Suburban District designation.
Thank you. Mr. Bayham in the office, audience? Good evening.
Good evening. Melton Bayham, 41254 Rolling Hill Drive, Hammond, Louisiana, 7403. Me and my sister inherited some property from my parents. I got 6 acres and she has some other property. We both here wanting to keep it in the family and be able to grandkids or great-grandkids to be able to build on the land and keep it in the family. And absolutely no subdividing for commercial use or multi-house building or anything like that. But we definitely want to keep it in the family.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone in the audience? Go ahead.
I'm Carolyn Pierre, 11117 St. John Church Road, Folsom, Louisiana. We incurred this whenever we were looking, Melton wanted to sell me a piece of his land that is across the road that doesn't even join his other little piece behind my house. And then this is when we incurred the rezoning and everything. And I wanted, while we were up here, to explain that I am the same way, and I'm on the agenda next, and that we don't want anything, we just want this for our kids. This is 75-year-old land from our parents. Our dairy barn, our ag, our everything is all still there. And we're not dairying, but anyhow, we don't want anything to change. We just want this to be able, I have 3 children later on, that he has 2 children that they can come out with our land. And it wouldn't be 5-acre parcels, so we wanted to see if we could rezone it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, these petitioners, they are absolutely right. They've been there forever. For as long as I've known them, they've been there. And they just trying to get the family property done right. So I move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve. Commissioner Seeger.
Second that motion.
Second by Commissioner Seeger. No one else in the queue. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to approve passed.
Thank you. Next item is 2019-1649-ZC. Existing zoning is A1 Suburban District with RO Rural Overlay, manufactured housing overlay. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District, RO and MHO. It's 10.92 acres. The petitioners Tiffany, David, Carolyn Pierre, and Lee Pierre Jr. The owner is Tiffany, David, Carolyn Pierre, and Lee Pierre Jr. Parcel located on the east side of St. John Church Road, south of McCoy Road, being 11117 St. John Church Road, Folsom, Ward 2, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan designates the site to be developed with agricultural and residential dwellings. Staff is not in favor of the request as the petition site is surrounded by properties that conform to the A1 Suburban District designation.
Thank you. Are the Pierres here? That's you, huh?
That's me. My daughter's here too.
Okay.
Carolyn Pierre, 11117 St. John Church Road, Folsom, Louisiana. And I just spoke to you about this and trying to keep this into our family name and family property. There's no reason that we would ever want to subdivide or sell. Our ancestors donated the church property right next to us, the big Catholic church, and that's where we want to be, and we don't want anything to go anywhere.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
okay.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against? I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice to approve. Commissioner Willie.
Yes, this is the adjoining piece from the previous case. I second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Willie. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Seek. The motion to approve passed.
Thank you. All right, next item is 2019-1650-ZC. Existing zoning is A2 Suburban. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District and manufactured housing overlay. It's 0.75 acres. Petitioner's Danny Collins. Owner's Danny Collins. Parcel located on the west side of Tower Lane, north of North Pontchartrain Drive, Lacombe, Ward 7, District 7. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the site to be developed with residential uses that vary in site design and density, including manufactured homes. As such, staff has no objection to the request.
Thank you. Danny Collins? Yes, sir. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm Danny Collins. Address is 63565 Aldon and Rupert Road. The property I had owned like about almost 30 years ago. I had a modular home out there before, and it was a family house. I let my daughter stay out there in a mobile home, and it caught a fire like about 7 years ago. So I'm trying to replace it back to put my mobile home back out there again. And it got multiple mobile home in the neighborhood. So I'm just trying to put it back like it was before.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? Yes, ma'am. Come forward and state your name. Pardon? Not in favor, okay. Are you in favor, ma'am? Okay. State your name and address.
Danielle Hopkins, 63565 Audon and Rupert Road, Lacombe, Louisiana. I just want to say that that is my dad, and he is handing it down to me for me and my 3 kids to stay on. And as he mentioned, there is other mobile homes in the area, as long with houses as well. So if you please, can you consider of granting that petition for him? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against? Yes, ma'am. Come forward and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Paula Fashion. I'm at 62331 North Pontchartrain, Lacombe, Louisiana, 70445.
Okay.
I'm here tonight because I'm against Danny putting another mobile home on that property. They already have one. And I would like to explain my reasons. I moved there in 1980, but 85, 86. And it was a really quiet neighborhood. They do have other mobile homes surrounding, and he already have a mobile home on that property. But I'm here to say, I'm going to read what I wrote, if that's okay. I'm here today because I'm against the new zoning being requested in our neighborhood by Danny Collins. Since Danny purchased the property on North Pontchartrain, he split it up and put 2 mobile homes on the property. He lived in one for a time, a few years, and then he started renting them out. He has never taken in consideration that we were raising a family. He would rent to anyone. We have brought it to his attention many times, asking him to not just rent to anyone, to take in consideration that we are a family and we have children in the neighborhood. I have my husband and a couple other neighbors with me tonight. Within the last 20 years or so, we have seen domestic disputes, drug dealers, dog fighters, and et cetera in the neighborhood that rented out from him when he had those 2 mobile homes there. We have also pulled up to our home and have task force come up to us, show us pictures of the neighbors that's living in there and letting us know they're on a stakeout. We proceeded to ask, they proceeded to ask us questions. We explained to them that we live in the neighborhood. And like I said, he showed us the picture of the person of interest that was living in Danny's trailer, one of his rental trailers. We had Danny Rentals come up to us and give us notice when they would move in. They would say, you stay on your side of the street, we'll stay on our side of the street. You mind your business, we'll mind our business. I prayed that nothing bad would happen so my husband wouldn't get involved with any type of dispute with those neighbors. One night, even when they had the dogs over there, when they had fighting dogs, some of their neighbors, his renters, they had dogs that was fighting dogs. Well, one of them got loose one night. I was outside, me and my cousin. We was just walking, and the dog got loose. We didn't know the dog was loose until he was on our tail, growling at us. We had to hold each other tight, walk to the next door neighbor across the street. We had to call my husband to come pick us up in a car because the dog wouldn't let us. I mean, he was I guess a wild animal because he was a fighting dog. We didn't see the dog fight another dog, but we just saw marks on the dogs. So I just assumed that's the type of dog it was. We had people park on our side of the streets. At night, we have to go outside. We have to go to the neighbors and say, don't have the people coming on our side of the street. We don't want any of that. Stay on your side of the street. So about 5 years ago, one of the trailers burned on the property. No one was living in the trailer, and no one was living in the front trailer on the property also. So when the trailer burned down, it was a blessing to me and my family because he couldn't move anyone over there, and then we heard that the zoning was passed and he couldn't put another mobile home there. So, and the other one, we didn't think it was livable. So, and no one lived in it for a long time. But for some reason, there were traffic back and forth going to that other mobile home. And we knew there was no lights because, I mean, we just live right there. I mean, the street is like right in between. And we don't know what these people was doing there. They would go there at night, leave early in the morning. We had no idea. And so I just thought it was a good thing that, he couldn't put another trailer there, the zoning changed. I guess one would say why we have never called the police with all that was going on. Well, one time I did, and it was a long time ago. Well, they gave my name and they gave my address of who reported them. So I'm thinking, if I report these people and they give it my name and address, then what if something happens to me because I'm trying to report these people in my neighborhood? So so we just figured we'll keep a close eye watch on our kids and our property. I would never let my kids go outside and play by themselves. Right now, Danny has someone living in the front trailer of the property that he's renting, and I'm asking, please leave the zoning as is. I know, and we all know firsthand, he would say that he's going to put his daughter there. He told me that years ago, that he was going to, I'm going to put my daughter in there. After I ask him, stop bringing people in the neighborhood. We have family. I have children. He'll tell me he's going to put someone there, and then that never happens. So, and countless times, I have spoke to him and asked him about moving people in my neighborhood. Well, it's not really in our neighborhood. And he would say that he's going to do something, but it never happened. So, again, I'm asking, please take my thoughts in consideration and keep the zoning as is. And I would like to thank you for your time and allowing me to speak today.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak against? All right, we'll go into rebuttal. Mr. Collins, you have any? Oh, okay. Please state your name and address.
My name is Mara Kuzan Crutchfield, and I live across the street from the property as well. And because of the safety of our family and kids and stuff, I'm asking that you guys keep the zoning as is, because I have witnessed, people during the night from the trailer fighting and stuff like that. When my friend would come over and stuff, he would, bring it to my attention, and I have witnessed all of this, stuff that happened in our neighborhood. And because of the safety of, for us as well as our kids, we appreciate it if you would keep the zoning as is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak against? Right now, Danny is speaking against. Anyone else? All right, we'll go to rebuttal. Danny, you can come up and rebut what's been said.
I'm sorry, but she's saying that she had a problem before. There ain't no help was out there in about 7 years. When they had a party, they all parked out there on my property when nothing was out there. When I pass to go to, but my mom's house is down the street, and every time I turn, they throwing parties all the time. They parking on my property, and they throwing alcohol stuff all out in the yard. You see, I don't be there, but when I pass and I come back, they have a big party and beer bottle all out in my yard. I didn't say anything about it, you know. I figured that was my neighbor, but since they going against me, and that's what it was. Nobody was not there. They couldn't complain about anything because nobody was staying out there on that property about 7 years. Y'all can see that on the paper. Nobody was not there. What they were gonna complain about? They were out there by themselves. So they complaining for nothing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would any of y'all that spoke on against like to rebut?
Yes. I'm not sure exactly what he is stating because we did not throw anything on his property. Now, yes, we have parked on the property. No one lived there when we parked on that property. When he's saying that he lived in that area, we did not park on his property. And we did not throw beer cans, and we did not throw alcohol. If you want to go look at my property is clean cut. He brings a tractor every 6 months and ride around and cut that grass over there. That grass gets so high until it's so. That is not true. I had to get a speed bump to put on the street so that the traffic that comes through there, if I called the police and they're speeding and one of my kids would have got hit, then they would be responsible. You can look, the speed bump is still there because of the traffic that was coming through there. But that is not true. That is not true.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in rebuttal?
Yes, I've lived there since 1989, and I've never seen any trash over on that property. And like she said, they do have parties and stuff, and people had his permission to park on his property. Because when I was a sub bus driver, he would allow me to park my bus on the property. I would always would ask. And a while back, he had piles of dirt stacked on the property and trees over there for a long period of time. And because of that, we have a lot of flooding water that stays in our property after he did that, and it stayed like that for a while. But that's the only, stuff that I've known that was on this property. I've never seen any trash on this property. It's just that he don't keep it cut like she stated. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else against want to speak in rebuttal? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Crawford.
Okay, Ms. Paula, could you come up? I had a couple of questions. Can you tell me where your house is relative to this parcel?
My house, there's just Tower Lane. I had the parish put a sign. It's really North Pontchartrain, but every time I would say to put North Pontchartrain, no one would know where that is. So it's Tower Lane, but that's the street. My house is here. The property is on that side.
So you're across Tower Lane from the property?
Yes.
Okay. You also stated that there's a trailer on the property now?
Yes, that is being rented out right now by Danny.
Okay. Pardon?
Well, from my understanding and what he has told me in the past, that is his property. He split it up with his brother so that they can put the two mobile homes on there so he can rent them out. But from my understanding, from what he told me, that is all his property. And the renters that rented there in the past has told me that was his property and that's who they pay the rent to.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Collins, can I have you come up? So, Mr. Collins, is there a trailer on the property now?
No, sir.
No trailer on
That's my brother's property on the front. When we first brought it in the 80s, he brought the front piece and I brought the back piece, okay? So he got this trailer sitting out there on the front. And then I bought property on Ordon Rupert Road, so I live out there. But when we brought the properties together, that's when I put my mobile home on my piece. But when it burned down, my daughter was staying in it, so I couldn't afford to put another one. So now I'm putting my daughter back out there.
Okay. So when I was out there today, I saw a brown trailer on the back of
Well,
that
no, that's
property.
the brown trailer in the back. No, that's one on the front. That's on Jerry Collins piece.
That's a different piece of property.
Right, exactly.
So there's a piece in between the brown trailer and the front trailer.
No, it's just only two pieces of property. That's it. Jerry have the front piece and I have the back piece.
Okay. So is your piece, does it come up to the road?
No, sir.
It doesn't front to the road.
No.
To Tower Road.
Right, Tower Road.
Okay. Okay. That's all, Mr. Collins.
Okay.
Ms. Paula, one more question for
Thank
you.
And I do have a picture on my phone if you would like to see.
No, I was out there today.
The
I saw
piece
it.
that's on the trailer that's on the property.
But my question to you is, how did you learn about this zoning change?
There was a note put on my door, like a little door tag. And also, when I saw the tag, there was a sign that was posted out on the property.
The yellow sign?
Yes.
Okay.
And, well, we had the storm, but it blew it down right then and there. And also, my sister got one, because she lives right
Okay.
behind
The
me.
sign was there until the storm came.
Well, only one day. The storm came the next day.
Okay. Okay. And the reason I'm asking these questions is we're looking at the suitability of the zoning for what's in the area. You know, you talk about Mr. Collins and who he rents to and the problems and all that. There's nothing to say that if it was a mobile home or it was a house that it would be any different.
Correct.
So that's what we have to take into account. So thank you for answering his questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Randolph.
Danny, can you come up, please? We have this drawing, and the property that we're talking about is not this front piece, but this piece here.
It's right behind Jerry's.
Okay, so the issue concerning residents or renters, that's not on the piece that we're talking about tonight. That's on the front piece, which is the other column.
That's Jerry.
Okay, okay. All right. If there's no other questions from the commission, I'd just like to go and make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve. Commissioner Willie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Willie. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Doherty. The motion to approve has passed.
Thank you. All right, next item. 2019-1651-ZC, existing zoning is A1, proposed zoning is A1 plus a rural overlay. It's 8.0369 acres. Petitioner's Kimberly Trowbridge, and the owner is Richard and Kimberly Trowbridge. Parcel located on the south side of Joyner-Weimer Road, west of Louisiana 1077, and north of Interstate 12, being 12202 Joyner-Weimer Road, Covington, Ward 1, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan designates the site to maintain land use for timber production, recreational uses, species habitat, and stormwater retention. Staff does not have any objection to the request, as the purpose of the rural overlay is to establish agricultural uses, encourage the maintenance of the rural countryside, and to preserve forests and other undeveloped land. Staff feels that the request for the rural overlay is appropriate for the character of the neighborhood and conforms to the 2025 future land use area plan.
Thank you. Are the Trowbridge here? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address.
My name is Kimmy Trowbridge. My address is 12202 Joyner Weimer Road in Covington. We're on a little over 18 acres, and we'd like to get a rural overlay on the back half of our property, about 8 acres, for agricultural use.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against?
I'm not really against.
Yes, ma'am, come up to the podium, state your name and address.
I'll be impartial. Just to be informed. Hello, my name is Sharice Giles. I live at 461 Secluded Grove Loop in Madisonville. And this property that they're wanting to do a zone change for is in my backyard. I was just wondering, and the neighbors on both sides of me were just wondering, if you plan on keeping it as it is now, why even go through the zoning at all? That's what our concern is, like, to come back in a few years and have another zoning change. Why do the zoning anyway if it's rural now?
You can come on up and we'll start the rebuttal phase of it.
We do plan to keep everything as is. There's a great amount of buffer space between us and the neighborhood behind us. We don't plan on changing anything. We have miniature goats, and so we just want to make sure we're zoned properly to keep them on our property, that's all. But
Okay.
no change, nothing, no structural change. We're not building anything. We're not taking any trees down. We just want to make sure that we're allowed to have them where we're at.
Okay, did that answer your question? Okay. Anyone else wish to speak against? Or when rebuttal? All right. Anyone else wish to speak on this case? All right. We're going to close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
Yes, considering the 8 acres, the lot size, and I'll move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve. Commissioner Seeger. Second by Commissioner Seeger. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to approve passed.
Thank you. Next item is 2019-1652 ZC. All right, we've got the existing zoning's A1 and a manufactured housing overlay. Proposed zoning is A1A suburban district, A2 suburban district, and manufactured housing overlay. It's 9.52 acres. The petitioners Francis Bayham Wood, Wanda Lee Bayham Wilson, and Jacqueline Deborah Bayham Willett. Owner is Francis Bayham Wood, Wanda Lee Bayham Wilson, and Francis Bayham Wood and Wanda Lee Bayham Wilson, and Jacqueline Deborah Bayham Willett. Parcel located on the southwest corner of St. John's Church Road and Anthony Road, north of Louisiana 40, Folsom, Ward 2, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with single-family residential uses and preserve a rural countryside character of the area. Note that the objective of the request is to allow for the property to be subdivided into 4 parcels as shown on the attached survey. Staff is not in favor of the request, considering the petition property is surrounded by parcels that conform to the existing A1 suburban district zoning designation.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. State your name and address, please.
My name is Frances Wood. I live at 118 Barbados Court, Slidell, Louisiana, 70458.
Thank you.
I think you all have this. This is only a portion of our land. Like the other Bayhams who spoke before me, we've had this land in our family since before we were born. And the plot is for 60 acres. I don't know if you have this. The part we're talking about is this little corner. So this map that you have goes up here in this little corner of 60 acres. What we're asking is to fulfill my mother's wishes. Her last will and testament was that the land be equally divided among the three of us. And going back to 2005, when she had the land surveyed, at that time, Jackie, my youngest sister, here she is in black, she had 15.97 acres. That's because she already owned 4 acres. My mom gave her 2 acres for her house, 2 acres for her daughters. So Jackie already had 4 acres. I know this gets so confusing. So this says Jackie gets 16 acres. And this says Wanda gets 20, and this says Wanda gets 20. So we would all have 60 acres. Well, when we got to the succession of the land, Wanda's name and Jackie's name, they were switched. So Jackie got 24 acres and Wanda got 16. And we knew it at the lawyer's office. We knew it was incorrect. But Wanda lives in Colorado. She was flying out the next day. Not realizing we were going to get to meet all you lovely folks, we said they'll just take care of it, and Jackie will give Wanda 4 acres, so we all have 20 acres. So that brings us back to this little map up in the corner where Jackie gave Wanda 4 acres. This 2-acre plot is mine. My son lives there. We got the 2-acre plot. He moved into the house. We got copies from the parish. We've been paying taxes on it. And then when we had it surveyed again, they said, oh, wait, you can't do that. It has to be at least 5 acres. So that's where the other 3.52 acres comes in. So basically, we're not planning to do anything with the land. It's had cows on it and chickens at one time, but we just wanted to get it straightened out so that everybody got 20 acres.
Okay.
Does that make sense to y'all?
Yeah.
Every time I try to explain it, it seems to get more and more difficult. But my son will, there's no intention of selling that. My son is autistic, and when he was 40, he decided he wanted to move out of our house, and he wanted to move into Grammy's house. So that's where he is. He works at Walgreens for the last 12 years. He'll be there until he dies. He's comfy and happy there.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against? Please come forward and state your name, please, and address.
My name's Keith Knackery. I live at 11366 St. John Church Road. I'm the adjoining property to this property.
Okay.
Okay, first want to say I hate that I feel like I have to be here, but when I got notice that the potential rezoning was going up, I reached out, or attempted to reach out to the family to see, what was going on through a real estate agent from a sign that was up on the property about 7 weeks ago. Let me give you a little bit of my background. I moved to Covington about 6 years ago, moved to an area that had 1 to 3 acre lots. I actually still own the house in Covington that I'm renting. It was a nice area, but wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for more of a rural feel, more acreage, property that just had more space. I bought the house 2 months ago, finally achieving that goal, and then got notice that it's potentially getting rezoned back to what I moved away from. It's a serious concern for me. There is, now that I know, 60 acres at stake in a similar family, and if each 10 acres was subdivided the same way, you know, I'd end up with 20 neighbors, which is not what I'm looking for. I do have some concern as to the plans for the property. The 3.5 acre piece was listed for sale, like I said, 6 or 7 weeks ago. I can give you the MLS if that helps. So I do have concern that that would be sold off, and a very small property would be backing up onto my property as well. I think if it's not gonna be sold anytime soon, it's probably premature to request rezoning. But I do have concerns that that 3.5 acres could be sold off, and then the 4 acre plot. My concern is what would happen in the future.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak against?
Good evening, Joseph Marriott for Keith Nackery. I'm an attorney at the law firm of Sternberger, Nackery & White. I just want to reiterate some of the statements that he made. We did send a letter to you all this afternoon. I believe everyone was in receipt of it. What we want to make sure is that they're asking to break up this piece of land. They're not asking to do it to just the 2 acres that the special needs person lives on. If they were, I doubt that my client would have a problem with that. However, they're trying to break it up into 4 pieces. And then 4 pieces becomes 5 pieces, and so on and so forth, right? Currently, they're trying to take it from an A1 to an A1, A1D, and an A1, A2, which is a 1 acre lot, 3 acres and then 1 acre. So substantially increasing the density in the area, which is a huge concern, because just listening to everyone here today, a lot of people from Folsom, a lot of people want to maintain that rural community lifestyle. And that's all we're here to do today, is to try to, emphasize that we want to keep the community the same, keep the acreage the same. If they came back with a different plan, I'm not sure if they would be, be opposed to it versus this plan. This plan just seems a little over the top for what they're really trying to do.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak again? Wait a minute, you're for this, so.
So I can't
let
talk
me get.
now.
Still
talking about against.
Still talking about against. We're fixing to go to rebuttal. All right, you've got 5 minutes for rebut, yes.
I just want to reiterate, we're talking about 60 acres, and the 2 acres and the 3.5, I think it is, those go together for my land. It was put up for sale a couple of months ago because Jackie's land was separated, and so she would have to pay more taxes on it or something. We didn't know why we had to come do this rezoning either. We were just told we had to do it because of the 2 acres. But I thought I took care of that 2 acres when I got the 3.5, because now I own the 5.5.
Okay.
And there's not 4 pieces. It's my piece, my sister's 4 acres to make her 20, and then my other sister has 20 acres. So there are only 3 of us in the family.
Okay.
So we're not dividing it 4 ways, and we didn't know what kind of zoning. We were told to put whatever's there. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You want to speak in rebuttal?
No, not rebuttal. Well, I want to add to what she's saying.
Okay, that's rebuttal.
Well, whatever. I'm Lawrence Willie. I live at 81419 Anthony Road, Folsom, Louisiana, 70437. I have been there for 42 years. This land was left to my wife and her sisters by her mother. It is correct, we were going to sell that 3.5 piece of land, 3.5 acres, because
when we give Wanda her 4 acres, we had 2 separate pieces of property. We couldn't pay taxes on 2 separate pieces of property, okay? Then the sisters talked, and they decided, well, let's keep it in the family. Let's work it out another way, and that's fine. We took it off the listing. When he notified the realtor, it was already off the listing. She sent a text to my wife saying he'd like to meet. She said, well, you know, I'll talk to my sisters and see, but we wasn't selling the land at that time. She received another text from the realtor. He would like to be neighborly, but if not, if we won't meet with him about this land, he'll come here and oppose. That's why he's here. Not because we're gonna split the property up and put a bunch of houses on it, number one. Number two, if you wanna be neighborly, come knock on my door. Introduce yourself. I'm as friendly as I can be. I'll talk to you about anything you want. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor on rebuttal? Yes, ma'am. State your name and address.
Hi, I'm the famous Jacqueline Willie. My address is 81419 Anthony Road, Folsom, Louisiana. What my husband stated is correct. I've lived there my whole life. I've never moved. I've been with my mother my whole life. I know nothing about zoning. I could tell you probably some other stuff you don't want to know. But we came down and we spoke to Miss Helen, and then we spoke to the other lady. We got everything we needed. This is the truth. My nephew lives on the 2 acres. He is autistic. The 3.52 acres, I'm going to donate to his mother because he will need care one day, and I'm donating that to her. Hopefully we will work it out, and she's going to donate me 5 acres of her land. We've not done that yet. But this is why we're coming before the board. I did receive a text from a realtor that she would like to be in charge of that property when I thought I was going to sell it. After having it listed for a couple weeks, I said, no, I've talked to my family. We're not selling it. Well, I got a text yesterday from her that read that our neighbor has decided if we don't let him have a contract by tonight on the property, that he will be here and he will cause a bump in the road for us. I have the text. The land is no longer listed with a realtor. We're keeping the land in the family. It's been my mother's. My sister crossed the fence to go to school at St. John's Church. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Time has expired on the rebuttal against. You still had some time, I believe, left.
Would like to clarify a couple of things, because I believe I'm being mischaracterized a little bit. I reached out to the real estate agent because it was the only way I knew how to contact them. What I said was that I wanted more than anything for tonight was to meet and talk to figure out what the plans were. It seemed like they wanted to sell, and what I said was, if they need to sell for some reason, financial reasons, I was open to talk about buying and making the property larger instead of creating a smaller zone, right? But in no way was trying to force them into selling. Honestly, I would prefer the land stay A1, stay owned by who it is, that's fine, but I didn't want to be unreasonable. I didn't want to say, I don't want you to zone it smaller, but I'm not willing, I'm trying to take money out of your pocket. That was not what I was trying to do in that instance. And if communications were misunderstood going through that agent, I don't really know, but that was never my intention, was to try to force a sale prior to this. What I wanted to do was talk prior to this, and I even tried prior to the meeting. The other issue is if parcel A and parcel B are going to end up through donation with the same person, there's no reason to rezone it, because now we're over 5 acres. It's now unified again. There's no need for a rezoning. I just feel like it's overreaching.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're ready to bring it back to the,
Can I just say something? My name is Wanda Wilson. I live at 282 Autumn Glen in Eagle, Colorado. All I want to say is I deserve my 4 acres. Why should I get 16? And that's what this whole thing is about, me getting my 4 acres instead of having 16. Then both of my sisters will have 20, and I will have 20. We're not selling the property, ever. That's all I had to say.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
I'm sort of confused a little bit. On our agenda, it says we're talking about 9.52 acres, all right? And I look at the little plat on our agenda, and I see parcel A, B, and C, which equals that acreage amount. Are that the only 3 parcels we're talking about? Where does parcel D come in? It's on my map, on my thing.
Parcel D will be part of the minor subdivision. However, parcel D does not have to be rezoned.
So parcel D is gonna stay A1?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason we haven't changed the zoning on A, B, and C is so they can correct their family property.
That's correct. So A and C is requested to be rezoned to A1A and B to A1, to A2, I'm sorry.
A1A, which has been 3 acres.
Yes.
And then parcel B will be A2.
That's what the request is.
Okay. And parcel D is to be A1.
Excuse me?
Parcel D is still gonna stay A1.
That's correct.
And then they talking about 60 acres. All that's gonna be A1. The other 40 acres we talking about, that's A1 as well, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem with trying to correct this family problem, the situation that went on. I'll move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve, Commissioner Seeger.
I think that there's been some miscommunication and some missed ideas and some misunderstanding of what's actually going on. I just appreciate your explaining that to the family, and I will second that motion to approve.
Second by Commissioner Seeger. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Baggett, Mr. Fitzmaurice. The motion to approve passed.
Thank you. All right, next item is 2019-1653-ZC. Existing zoning is PF1 Public Facilities District. The proposed zoning is A1 Suburban District and RO Rural Overlay. It's 1.01 acres. Petitioner Joanne Thompson, owners Joanne Thompson. Parcel located on the north side of Louisiana 1078 east of J&B Road, Folsom, Ward 3, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan designates the site to be developed with single-family residential uses that preserve the countryside. Staff is not opposed to the request as the site is flanked by single-family residences and undeveloped land that conforms to the existing A1 Suburban District zoning designation.
Thank you. Joanne Thompson? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Thompson, 12082 Highway 1078, Folsom. 5 years ago, I donated this 1 acre to Fire District 12 because my parish councilman told me that we needed a fire district in that area. So this was to be named after my grandparents, Martha and Jim Thompson. So 5 years passed. You all know the chaos from Fire District 12. The board called me and said that will never be built in your lifetime. and we want to give you your land back. So in April, they gave me my land back. It's recorded at the courthouse. So Rob Barnett, at that time, was a lawyer for Fire District 12. He came in front of you to have this changed to a public facility. So now that I have my land back and it adjoins my other property, I just want to change this back to the way it was originally and forget about it. Believe you me.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
I'm assuming Ms. Thompson doesn't want to build a public facility then, right? Okay. I move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to approve passed.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Next item is ZC 12-09-093, a major amendment to PUD Plan Unit Development Overlay, 15.87 acres. Petitioner is Jones Fussell LLP, Jeffrey Shane. Owner is CO 45 LAS REO LLC, Timothy Sheehan. Parcel located on the north side of 10th Street, east of Ruby Street, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
As you can see on your staff report here, I included a little bit of a history of, what happened through the years with the property in question. And at this time, the petitioner is requesting a major amendment to the PUD and is proposing to develop the site with 79 single-family residential lots, which includes the already existing 11 residential lots that are currently built on. The new 68 lots will have an average of 50 by 120. The green space area does not meet the minimum requirements, but as it is explained here in the staff report, at the time in the early 2000s, we didn't have the same method of calculation, so that's the reason why it does not exactly meet the requirements. However, it meets the 2025 future land use plan, and staff does not have any objection to the requested major amendment to the PUD.
Thank you. Mr. Shane.
Good evening again. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington. I represent Title Group LLC, which is now the owner of this property. They purchased it since this case was filed. They are the proposed developer or redeveloper, if you will, of this tract. As staff has noted, this property has an interesting history. I assume all of you have read the blurb on page 1 of the staff report, but I think there's a couple of things that are important as it relates to the request this evening. The property was at one time annexed into the city of Covington, zoned as a PUD. It was de-annexed, came back into the parish. There was a time when the density of this subdivision was 90 lots. It also included a row of commercial lots across 10th Street. And then in 2015, the PUD was amended, creating the possibility for significant multifamily development along 10th. What my client intends to do, and the reason that they purchased the property, is to amend this PUD and do the following. The density will be reduced to a total of 79 lots. 11 of those are already in commerce. There's actually 10 homes owned by third parties, if you will, and there's one lot that does not have a home on it, but owned by a third party. That will leave 68 lots for my client to develop. Number 2, elimination of commercial, and with that, of course, the elimination of the multifamily. So it will all be single-family residential. Interesting situation with regard to the green space in that when the PUD was initially approved, the green space met requirements of code. As staff has indicated, it is technically deficient today. But to offset that deficiency, that's one of the reasons my client elected to get rid of the commercial multifamily uses and reduce the density, again, originally as much as 90, now down to 11 owned by third parties and 68 lots that my client will develop. Now, phase one, and if you're looking at Covington Place Cottages, the recorded plat that's in your packet, phase one on the south side is already a recorded plat. So if we are fortunate enough to get this amendment to the PUD, we hope to see you next month as a planning commission, and we will re-subdivide the existing phase one to meet the conformity of this amended PUD. Then our job will be to put together the necessary engineering plan specifications, meet the requirements of your code, and seek preliminary subdivision approval for phase two. That's the northerly portion where we will develop the rest of the subdivision. So at the end of the day, we're going to take up a development that quite frankly has sputtered and has not done what the initial developer hoped it would. We're going to now bring this PUD back into conformity, if you will, to single-family residential, and we believe that it can be a very nice neighborhood for all. So we ask that, again, you grant this major amendment to the PUD this evening. I'm not sure if technically it requires a waiver as it relates to the green space issue. I would also add, and it may not be necessary for the PUD, I'll ask staff to correct me if otherwise, but I know that there's a few of the lots that will need some help as it relates to the location of the driveway. But I think that's something we could probably address through the subdivision process.
It's going to be addressed at planning.
During planning. So I just mentioned that to you. If you see a few of the lots and you say, well, how in the world are you going to meet the driveway requirement? They're not being met now, but we will address that with you when we come before you in the planning process for preliminary. So with those remarks, I will sit down and rest until and unless any of you have any questions.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of this development? Yes, ma'am, you're speaking in favor?
I think so.
Okay. State your name
My
and
name
address,
is Barbara
please.
Cherry, and I live on North 10th Street on Craftsman's Court in this subdivision. And what I have heard a lot of is that there was going to be some kind of commercial development. I didn't want to see any more commercial development on this property, so that's why I'm here.
Okay, well, Mr. Shane just indicated that the commercial lots that were there have been eliminated with the new PUD plan.
All right, thank you.
Right, Mr. Shane?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone in the audience wish to speak against? I'll close it to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Baggett.
I move for approval. I put my paper on that.
Thank you, Mr. Baggett. Motion to approve. Commissioner Seeger.
I second that motion.
Second by Commissioner Seeger. Commissioner Randolph.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm stuck on 2015. There was 57 multi-units, residential units. I'm looking at the major amendment to the PUD. It's saying that we're looking at 2.51 acre lot site located along 10th Street to be developed with 57 multifamily residential units, 1 to 2 and 3 bedroom. The 76, is that adding the?
No, sir.
Okay.
That would have taken it well
Way over?
beyond, I haven't done the math, but that would have been a conversion of some of the lots for 57 multifamily units.
Okay.
Which I'm suspecting would have taken it to 130?
168.
How about 168?
Okay.
168 units technically is what's on the books today. if this PUD were developed as is with no amendment. Obviously, it's going to shrink, as I indicated, and eliminate the commercial and multifamily.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Drum.
Mr. Shane, don't go away.
I had a feeling I needed to stay here.
I like the plan. I like the idea of it, no commercial, all that nice stuff. But I have a question for you. I think your wife is correct where you do need to walk from way over there to over here because you've been both ends of this booking right now. I mean, you've been holding both ends of this evening together. And so, yeah, you need to stay at that end and walk
I
more.
appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Good. Mr. Shane, is there any intent to try to get the green space up to today's standards?
No, sir, but not because of disrespect for the standard. The challenge now with reducing the density and extending the infrastructure, the sewer and the water, today's cost of extending that infrastructure to the undeveloped phase 2 creates a significant amount of infrastructure cost to be prorated over those units. Okay. So we kind of settled in at this number for economic reasons as well. Reduced it, but I think to answer the question just straightforward, no, sir, I think the green space will stay as is.
Okay, and then basically the green space is being grandfathered in off the original development. Okay.
It will be the same, yes, sir.
All right, good, thank you. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to approve passed.
Thank you. We have no old business. Do we have any new business? Let's see, I don't see anything beyond the new business, do you? Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.